We are less than 100 days from the midterm elections. And I want to ask a question Republicans have been avoiding because it makes people uncomfortable. What does the country and the party look like after Trump? Not after he leaves office. I mean after this election, on November 4th, when we find out whether he has a Congress that can help him finish the job or a Congress that's determined to spend the next 2 years trying to stop him. Now, this is not a surrender speech. This is a grown-up speech. Donald Trump is president, and he is still the most powerful political figure in the Republican Party. But a political movement that cannot think past his strongest personality is not a movement. It's a fan club. And a fan club does not govern a country. No, November 3rd is not just a referendum on President Trump. It's a decision about the final 2 years of his presidency and whether the Republican Party has built anything that can last beyond him. Folks, there are two big paths here. First, Republicans if they hold the House and the Senate, or both, that will be extraordinary for a midterm. Second, Democrats take the House, the Senate, or both. And the final 2 years become a political knife fight. We're going to break this down honestly. Let's start with the math. Republicans have only a narrow working edge in the House. That means a handful of seats can decide who holds the gavel, who runs the committees, who writes the spending bills, and who decides what America watches in hearings every night. Now, in the Senate, Republicans begin with a 53-47 advantage. That's counting the two independents who caucus with Democrats. Democrats need a net gain of 4 seats to take a working majority. That's not going to be easy, but it's not impossible either. And the Senate map has become less comfortable for Republicans than many people want to even admit. Cook Political Report now rates the overall Senate battle a toss-up, even though it says Republicans retain a slight advantage. Iowa and Texas have been moved to toss-up. Alaska is competitive. North Carolina is competitive. Ohio is competitive. And these are not theoretical warning lights. These are real races on the board. And nationally, the political environment is not helping Republicans sleep easy. Poll averages show Democrats ahead on the generic congressional ballot, while Trump's approval rating is underwater. That doesn't tell us who's going to win every district, no. It tells us that nobody gets to coast. This is a turnout election. All right, if Democrats take the House, Donald Trump stays president. He keeps his veto pen. He keeps the executive branch. But the whole rhythm of Washington, D.C. will change overnight. The House majority controls committees, like I said. Committees means subpoena power. It means hearing schedules. It means which witnesses get called, which documents get demanded, and which accusations become the nightly news. Don't kid yourself, folks. The Democratic House would not spend 2 years trying to help Donald Trump secure the border or cut red tape or rebuild American energy. They will spend 2 years investigating him, his administration, his family, his allies, you, me, and every decision that they can turn into a headline. They can also make spending bills a battlefield. Now, they can't force a law past a presidential veto, but they can slow the process, attach demands, manufacture shutdown crises, and make the country feel like nothing is working. That dysfunction becomes their 2028 campaign commercial. And that is the point. A House flip is not simply about one speaker replacing another. It's about who gets to define the final 2 years of Trump's presidency? The administration or his enemies? A Democratic Senate may be even more important in the long run. A Senate confirms judges, it confirms cabinet officials, U.S. attorneys, ambassadors, gives senior agency leaders. It is the chamber that turns a president's choices into lasting government, or it turns them into empty offices and stalled nominations. If Democrats control the Senate, expect this: the confirmation pipeline to become a brick wall. Trump could nominate qualified judges and officials, but Democrats would control whether they move, when they move, or whether they ever receive a vote. And judges matter because judges outlast presidents. A Senate loss would not simply affect the next 24 months. It could shape courts, law enforcement, regulation, and constitutional fights for decades. That's why every Republican Senate race matters, including races in places where the GOP has become accustomed to winning. A state can be red, like here in Florida, on the map, but still be lost by a weak candidate, a divided party, a scandal, bad turnout, or an electorate that has decided nobody has given it a reason to show up. Now, let's talk about the best case scenario. Republicans hold the House and the Senate. That would be a major achievement. In Trump's first midterm, Republicans lost the House by 42 seats. The party in the White House usually gets punished in the midterm. So holding both chambers in this environment would be real work, a real victory. But let me put a warning label on that victory. A tiny majority is not a mandate. A 220 to 215 House is not a license for people to become divas and start personal wars or threaten to blow up an agenda every time they want attention on cable news. If Republicans hold both chambers, the job is to finish things. Let me say that again. On the off chance that somebody who is running for Congress or is in Congress gets to see this, because you're going to send it to them. If Republicans win both chambers, the job is to finish things. The job is to secure the border in ways that cannot be casually undone. To lock in energy production, protect taxpayers, confirm judges, rein in agencies that have forgotten they work for the people, make America safer. Make it easier for families to live, work, build, and raise families. The GOP cannot spend those 2 years congratulating itself for surviving. It has to deliver results. And those results Americans can actually feel at the gas pump, at the grocery store, and in their neighborhoods, and in their paychecks. Now, the nightmare scenario is this. If Democrats take both chambers, the final 2 years of Trump's presidency become a trench war. Trump will still have his veto, of course. Democrats would not simply be able to pass whatever they want, but the agenda would slow down. Nominees would stall, oversight would become warfare, and the impeachment would already be somewhere in the background. The White House would lean more heavily on executive action, and executive actions are often easier for the next president to reverse than laws passed in Congress. That's why Congress matters. That's why the House matters. That's why the Senate matters. A president can begin a course, but Congress is what keeps it and makes it durable. Democrats use those 2 years to run out the clock, brand the Trump presidency as chaos, and prepare their argument for 2028, that the country needs rescuing from the very agenda voters chose. The Republican mistake would be believing that everyone who voted for Trump is automatically going to vote in a midterm, because they are not. Midterm elections are won by people who show up when there is no presidential race at the top of the ticket. They are won by volunteers, local leaders, pastors, small business owners, parents, veterans, and neighbors who understand the stakes before Election Day arrives. And the party has got to stop wasting its own ammunition. A primary is supposed to choose the strongest candidate for the general election. It's not supposed to destroy the winner, split the base, drain every frickin' dollar, and hand Democrats a pile of opposition research with a bow on top. We need candidates who can communicate, candidates who can take a hit, candidates who can talk to working people without sounding like they learned English from a consultant's memo, candidates who don't fold when legacy media gets ugly, and who don't create avoidable scandals that make it impossible for good people to defend them. Here's the real post-Trump question. Did Donald Trump awaken a country, or did the Republicans build a party around one man and call it a movement? Because one man, even an historic president, cannot personally recruit every school board candidate or every county commission race, hold every governor accountable, and build every serious Senate campaign. A post-Trump Republican Party has to be rooted in principles that ordinary people can repeat. Secure the border. Put Americans first. Produce an affordable energy. Protect kids. Defend the Constitution. Make government live inside its means. Respect work and faith, family, and the people who keep this country running. Then build a bench. School boards, city councils, county commissions, state legislatures, Congress, governors, serious men and women with actual records, not social media celebrities who are looking for a title. Trump changed the Republican Party because he forced it to confront too many things that Republicans were afraid to say. Good. Keep that courage. But courage without structure, well, it's just noise. We need courage plus candidates. Courage plus precinct work. Courage plus people who can govern on Wednesday morning after the rally is over. That's the test. Not whether Republicans can say they love Trump louder than the next guy. The test is whether they can protect the country, win elections, and hand a stronger movement to the next generation. So here's where we are. If Republicans hold the House and the Senate, they have 2 years to prove conservative government can deliver. If Democrats take one chamber, the fight gets harder. If Democrats take both, then the final 2 years become an effort to stop, investigate, and run out the clock on the Trump agenda. But either way, the work is the same. Do not wait for Washington to save you. Pay attention to your district. Know your candidates. Ask the hard questions. Get involved before there's a crisis. And demand the Republican Party that is bigger than one personality, stronger than one news cycle, and serious enough to win the future. The post-Trump world is not someday. It starts November 3rd. And what happens next depends on whether Republicans are ready for the test.